From TV Africa, this is newspaper analysis, Thursday, 9th of November 2022. I'm your host, Regina Mwangi. On our first story, yesterday we saw that the president of South Africa, Ramaphosa, was in the country, and they made some initiatives and some big plans and deals with the president of Kenya, William Ruto. And one of them was, he said no visa requirement for Kenyans eyeing South Africa. So South Africa has removed visa requirement for Kenyans traveling to South African nation for up to 90 days, starting January next year, reciprocating similar preferential treatment for its citizens by Nairobi. South Africans have since 2017 been able to visit Nairobi without a visa for up to 90 days. President William Ruto and his South African counterpart, Cyril Ramaphosa, yesterday witnessed an agreement that could end decades of complaints from Kenya on immigration policies by the Southern African country. Former President Uhuru Kenyatta initiated Africa in 2016. The new visa agreement means that into South Africa for business or tourism. I think those are good initiatives that they made, and I pray that they are going to be implemented. SGR saga. The dirty details Transport CS Murkomen did not disclose. So the contracts for the Standard Gauge Railway SGR were signed in a record 2 weeks from the day a feasibility study was approved, in spite of the magnitude of the project and the huge financial obligation the government was placing on its citizens. This and the fact that Kenya Railways Corporation, KRC, experts dismissed and rejected the initial feasibility study is contained in commercial contracts that the government failed to disclose, even as it claimed to have made public all the contracts related to the SGR. The undisclosed contracts that the nation has obtained were signed towards the tail end of the Mwai Kibaki administration and accelerated by the Jubilee regime immediately after taking power, despite a sharp protest from various government agencies and certain quarters within KRC. As it is, the Kenyan government cannot disclose or release the contents of these contracts, courtesy of non-disclosure clauses placed on all of them without the approval of the China Exim Bank that financed the construction, and the China Roads and Bridges Corporation, CRBC, which was the executor. Now, each party understands to maintain the commercial confidentiality of any information, data or document which it gains during the performance of this contract, and not to make such information, data or document available to any third party reads the confidentiality clause on all the contracts. So those are some of the dirty details that Murkomen did not disclose. During the regime of Mr. President, the former president of the Republic of Kenya, there are many deals that had been planned by the current president, William Ruto. But again, when the handshake came in, we saw that most of the deals, they went, underwater. None of them were fulfilled, none of them were implemented, even the plans they had made. So I think it's the high time those deals should be, unrevealed and made implemented for the sake of the country. Now, praying for rain, may God make it happen. We are in a large circular clearing arranged by low mud, huts, and a brushwood fence. It's very dusty and very hot. A circle of men kneel in the dust. One of them is chanting. It sounds like a prayer. What is he saying? I asked my guide, John, who has brought me for a cultural visit to this Maasai village on the boundary of Amboseli National Park. He's praying for ancestors and he's praying for rain, I'm told. At every pause in the chant, the kneeling men intone the word Nai. I'm encouraged to do likewise. The air reverberates with the word. It's strangely moving. What does Nai mean? I ask. May God make it happen, comes the reply. In Amboseli in late 2022, the need for God to make rain happen is severe. The drought that has afflicted the area is the worst since 2009. There has been no rain for a year. The entire park and the halo of conservancies that encircle it is one huge dust hole. Dust devils as high as skyscrapers, well, across it. The entire landscape has turned monochrome. No surprise, the word Amboseli means the place of salty dust in the Maasai. Actually, the country is facing a lot of drought in most of the areas of Kenya. So I think the prayer can make a difference for those believers, for those who believe in God. We hope that rain can come. Now, revealed sleuths had found missing car before Pakistan journalist was shot dead. Now we come back again now to this story. It seems never to end. And I'm wondering, I'm longing for the day this story will end, because we have talked about it for a long time. Now, fresh details have now emerged from the death of Pakistan journalist Mr. Ashad Sharif, who was allegedly shot dead by officers attached to the General Service Unit GSU, who were manning a roadblock along Magadi Road in Kajiado. By the time Mr. Sharif was being shot dead, sleuths attached to Pangani police station had already recovered a Mercedes-Benz registration number KDJ 700F that had been reported missing on Sunday, October 23rd of 2022 by a man identified as Mr. Douglas Wainaina Kamau. In a statement penned by the father concerning the matter, and which is not our possession, in our possession by 9:30 p.m., Mr. Kamau had been reunited with the son at Total Petrol Station in Kiserian. This was 30 minutes before Mr. Sharif was shot dead, and a report filed at the Magadi police station. The vehicle had been reported missing at Pangani police station a few minutes past 7:20 p.m. and it was recorded under occurrence book OB number 7023-10-2022. The details of the report show that Mr. Kamau had gone to Ngara Market and left his son inside the vehicle, but when he returned, he never found him. The car was also missing. Now, I then requested to see the officer commanding station, who then referred my matter to the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, that is DCI Immediate Action, Mr. Kamau said. It is then that Mr. Kamau was accompanied by two DCI officers, only identified as Mr. Kaberia and Mr. Obiero, to trace the vehicle. They then went towards Kiserian, where the signal of the vehicle showed it was heading to, and at 9:30 p.m. the son identified as Duncan Wainaina Kamau, who had ignored his calls for more than 2 hours, called him and informed him that he was safe. When asked where he was, Duncan said that he had only decided to rush and see his wife and mother. The father then told him to drive to Total Petrol Station in Kiserian, and in a few minutes the son had already arrived. Police ordered them to drive back to Pangani police station. This is quite a long story. I'm not even going to read all of it. But earlier we saw yesterday in The Nation that the Pakistan government said this was a targeted murder. It was not a mistaken identity. And now we have new details that have come up with them. They have come up with new details and new news about the case. So I think we cannot yet make conclusions. We need to know what is what and who is who. Because if we make conclusions, then again other investigation and other stories will come up. But until then, we just pray for honesty between the case. And we pray that the details will be found to be true. Now, Malindi family in shock as a king's body arrives in Kenya with missing body organs. A family in Malindi, Kilifi County is puzzled after the body of their relative was brought back to Kenya from Italy with missing internal organs. A postmortem conducted at the Malindi Referral Hospital mortuary revealed in the body of Amani Justin Luwali was missing vital organs including the heart, major blood vessels, kidneys, eyeballs, and liver. Jesus. Mr. Luwali's elder brother, James Carissa, said she married an Italian man. The couple moved to Italy in 2016. We learned of my sister's demise on September. Her body was flown to Kenya on October 27th, and a post-mortem was conducted on November 3rd. Mr. Carissa said, when Mrs. Luwali's body was found, it had bloodstains on the nose and mouth, prompting her family in Kenya to order post-mortem. The body revealed her eyes to be sunken, but her eyelids were to be up for divorce, but her husband rejected them. They reported the matter to the Directorate of Criminal Investigations in Malindi, which is investigating. The family suspects foul play, said Mr. Matthias Shipeto of organ harvesting that occurred to the body of Mrs. Karisa, that is. Condolences to the family. And this case of organ harvesting has been going on because later we found out that there's some Kenyans who had gone in Egypt for some, I don't know which country it is, but it is, those countries people go there to work. And it was found out that people, instead of going to work, you're going to be sold to some organization that the government should chip in and make sure the lives of the citizens of particular countries are safe. Now, KDF troops in DRC Congo to cost taxpayer of 4.5 billion shillings in 6 months. Kenya will spend 4.5 billion shillings to keep its. The National Assembly Republic of Congo, even as MPs raised, is 601.87 million. However, if the Kenyan troops stay for 1 year, the cost implication will be approximately 7.2 billion shillings. In case the troops stay on, the annual cost of implication will be approximately 5.5 billion shillings to 6 billion shillings. It is, however, envisaged that international financing may be secured for the operation, and if this materializes, the Cabinet Secretary will apprise the committee accordingly. The 4.5 billion shillings is over and above our 131.68 billion shillings allocated to the Ministry of Defense in the 2022-2023 financial year. This is a lot of money. As much as it is going to fund the KDF, it's a lot of money, Looking at the economy we are in right now, looking at the cost of living, looking at the high debts we owe other countries, I think that's a lot to spend on just KDF. If it's necessary, then so be it. But if it's something that can be, be limited the amount of money, then I hope they can gladly do that, because that is a lot of money that is going to be wasted. And we have much to do as a country. We are not really in a good position to be proud of in the first place. Some other stories: Egyptian robbed after brutal knife attack in city estate. Detectives in Makadara area are investigating an incident where an Egyptian citizen was kidnapped by a group of unknown men who attacked him with knives and robbed him of a mobile phone and 7,000 shillings in cash. Makadara police boss, Mr. Timon Odingo, told the Daily Nation that he has teamed up with the area DCIO chief, Mr. Felix Kithuku, to bring to book the suspects involved in the crime. Mr. Odinga said trouble and started for Mr. Joseph Wahib Shenoda, the Egyptian, when he met people he did not know at the Sarit Center shopping mall in Westlands, Nairobi. It is not clear how they met and for what reason. During their conversation, Mr. Odinga said they exchanged phone numbers. At 11 a.m. on Tuesday, he was called to an appointment at South B Shopping Center in Starehe Sub-County. After the meeting, they entered a car and went to a house located at Meridian Court in the 8th floor and around Salasana area within Plainsview. Mr. Odinga said when they entered the house, the door was shut and suddenly Mr. Shenoda was grabbed. His hands and legs were tied and his mouth was covered. Oh no, this is an Egyptian. This is an Egyptian who was robbed, after a brutal knife attack in city estate. And now we had even the Pakistan Sharif was also murdered. And each day we also have the Indians also who are also murdered. I mean, foreigners cannot be coming to our country for their businesses or maybe for one reason or others, and then they are killed in the same country. That is identifying the name of the country, and Mr. Ruto should take that as a serious challenge in terms of relations with other, with outside countries, because foreigners cannot be coming and their lives are not even secure. They are dying at a foreign country. It is not fair for them. Now, Plum State jobs for former payback. Former Pulse official land top jobs. President William Ruto's nomination of Mr. James Muhati as Economic Planning Principal Secretary marked yet another addition to a growing list of past electoral officials who have landed Plum State jobs. Mr. Muhati, who had been appointed by Dr. Ruto's predecessor as Huduma Kenya's chief executive, a position that placed him at the center of the August 2022 polls, left the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission (IEBC) on March 25, 2020. A day after he exited the IEBC, where he served as information technology boss, Mr. Muhati was named by then President Uhuru Kenyatta to the Huduma Kenyan job. Our former poll officials who went to land plum positions include former IEBC Secretary and Chief Executive Ezra Chiloba, who is now Director General Communications Authority of Kenya, CA, Mrs. Immaculate Kasaiti, who was last year named the Data Protection Commissioner, Mrs. Anne Deritu, the Registrar of Political Parties. We have former commissioners who have been awarded, including Mrs. Consolata Mkatha Maina, Dol Paul Kugat, and Mrs. Margaret Mwachanya, all of who were in 2020 handed top diplomatic roles by the President Kenyatta. Also on the list is Mr. Tororoi, a former Director of Legal at IEBC, who is now a member of the Independent Policing Oversight Authority (IPOA) board. University of Nairobi lecturer Herman Manyora takes a dim view of the appointment, saying the IEBC has never been free and that whoever gets appointed there has specific interest to safeguard at the behest of authorities. There is always an invisible hand behind the commission. Contrary to its name, it has never been independent. Powerful people in government always want to micromanage it, says Mr. Manyora. Current IEBC Chairman Wafula Chebukati has been hailed by President Ruto as a hero over his handling of the 2022 general election, despite protestations to the contrary by the opposition and a section of the civil society. If the trend of the past 3 years is anything to go by, Mr. Chebukati could be headed for greater things once his tenure of the commission comes to end in January 2023. It is the reason the personnel at the commission are always singing and dancing to the tune of someone else. In the end, those who sing or dance the best get a safe landing, largely in the form of appointments. So according to that story, we see that for former poll bosses, they have already come back now to Plum State jobs, and I think it is Mr. Ruto who have brought them to those jobs, because he's still the same person who was against any person who was related with the former president. But now we see him hiring these people who are formerly Mr. Kenyatta's allies, of which it is so fair and it is so good of him, because he's acting as a president for everyone. He's not in favor of anything, but again, he must keep his close ones close indeed. So congratulations to them, and I hope they do a good job. Now, November power prices drop 5% on cheaper fuel. The Energy and Petroleum Regulatory Authority, EPRA, has lowered the monthly unit cost of electricity generated from the thermal sources by 5% for November due to lower fuel prices, handing some relief to consumers. The regulator has cut the fuel cost charge FSCC to 6.36 per kilowatt hour, down from 7.09 per unit. The FCC is single biggest variable cost in consumer billing, that it is adjusted monthly and is collected by Kenya Power on behalf of the expensive thermal power generators. EPRA has also cut the foreign exchange rate fluctuation component to 1.41 shillings per unit, down to 1.48. Okay, from 1.48 that is. So I think it is a good idea. They're trying, to go with the economy. They're trying to go with the cost of living for people, which is a good thing. MKU is opening the doors to its modern research facilities. Mount Kenya University is developing guidelines to facilitate community access to its research and training equipment. The Vice Chancellor of Professor Deogratias Jagani explains that such access is expected to lead the growth in research activity and productivity for national development. It will lead to a reduction in the cost of research, especially for postgraduate students from the community. The strategy will also help MKU researchers to identify potential collaborators. The VC says that although the researchers who collaborate with their counterparts in MKU already use the equipment, the plan is to grant structured access to many more. Under this arrangement, the university will invite high school students too to interact with the advanced equipment, he explains. It's a good thing, being innovative in such a way that they are not depending on other countries, and it's something that is being generated within the country. It's something that is coming up and being created within the country. It's a good and a plus for us as a country. So congratulations to them. Step-by-step guide to spray painting. You must have seen them in your home. These deca pieces that are not broken or bent out of shape, neither it is time to throw them out nor buy new ones. They're in fantastic shape, but they desperately need to be jazzed up. One of the ways you can jazz them up is to paint them using spray paint, so you can get them at your own service if you wish. So that has been our newspaper analysis for today. Make sure you follow us at Romy TV Africa on all our social media platforms. And see you tomorrow, same time, same place. I've been your host, Regina Mwangi.